This is Pixelated Audio, episode 124, and you're listening to Alex the Alligator 4.
All right, welcome to Pixelated Audio, a podcast focusing on game audio, its history, and the people behind it. We're your hosts. I'm Brian, and this is Gene.
Hey.
And we're doing a fun episode today based on a game that has a special place in my heart. It's called Alex the Alligator 4. And joining us today is, and I'm going to botch this up, is Anders... I already messed up. Anders Svensson.
Perfect.
Yeah, the composer of the game. And we're really happy to have you on.
Well, I'm really glad to be with you guys. It's perfect.
Awesome. That track that brought us in was the intro of the game, and it's just it's adorable. It brings out all the happy vibes.
Yeah, it's a bit of a story track.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the game has a very light story, and I think that's the design.
Yeah.
And so, this is
30 seconds long, yeah.
30 seconds, but I think it does a good job of kind of getting you into that old-fashioned feel to it, and I think that's what's so endearing about the game. So before we get into it, Alex the Alligator 4, better known as Alex 4, is a pure run-and-jump platformer for PC, Mac, Linux, and BeOS created by Free Lunch Design, and it was really popular through the Allegator community and Linux communities. Free Lunch Design is a small indie developer based in Gothenburg, Sweden, and created in 1998 by Johan Peitz. And his idea behind the company was to create this fun, high-quality, enriching games that really had a hard focus on gameplay. And most of all the games were free, all composed, at least in my understanding, composed by Anders Svensson. And the company, I don't know if it's still around. It looks like during the early years, it did a bunch of stuff for the PC platform mostly, and then it got really popular around a game called Icy Tower that had millions of players, all around the world. And then, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in 2008, the company was acquired by Muskendunder Interactive?
Yeah, so that sort of marks the end of my era in freelance design, because we sort of merged the company into another company in Gothenburg. And at that time, because of the circumstances, we had to split the company up. So I didn't work there anymore, and Johan sort of joined the other company. So that's that.
I see. So some of the games that Free Lunch Design worked on or created was Happy Land Adventures, the Christmas edition, Operation Space Hog, Happy Land Adventures, the regular edition that came out right around the same time, Alex the Alligator, both 1, 2, 3, and 4, or all 4 games. Pop'em, what is it, Clapbatong?
Clapbatong, yeah. So there are, of course, there's a bunch of games, and I think Johan was creating games even before I joined him. So and I joined in like 2000, 2001. So before that, a couple of games he made before that, and I did games before that as well. But it was when we joined together, the first game we did was Icy Tower.
I see.
So the games before that, I didn't participate in.
Well, we'll be talking about some of the other games as well. There was Zombiepox, Super Monster Painter Extreme, Harold's Hills, and Icy Tower 2. And before we talk too much more about your involvement with Free Lunch Design, can you tell us a little bit about your musical background? Like, how did you get into music? Because I'm sure we're about the same age, right?
Yeah, I was born in 1979, so computer has been around my youth, or like all my youth I was around computers. My dad always brought home these early computers, and so I worked with them a lot. And music-wise, I'm sort of from a musical family. My father's a jazz bass player.
Nice.
My mother plays the piano, and it's a choir singer. My sister always played the piano and so forth. So like my youth was filled with music in one way or the other. But I think, what really sparked my interest in game music was that I had a friend on the same street where I was living. His father was a toy importer. So he imported like video games from Japan. And when I visited him, I got to play these really fresh titles of Nintendo, like the 8-bit Nintendo.
Like, for example?
Console. Well, of course, the earliest Super Mario games.
Right,
and, the NES, all the classic games like Mega Man and Metroid and what else? Zelda, of course, and
right.
All the classic NES titles. So that sort of that sparked my interest in those kind of games and that kind of music, And also, some of the friends had the Commodore 64 computer. So when I was at playing at their houses, we always used the C64 computer as well, and that also sort of laid the foundation for what game music was for me.
Right.
And and then I during my youth years, I did play a lot of different instruments, and I was doing music all the time. But I think the first time that I really understood that you could make music with a computer was at one of my friend's house when we were playing around with his Amiga 500.
Nice.
Yeah.
And there was this Pro Tracker program that they used there, and I was fascinated by what you could do with that.
Now, it looks like most of the music in this game specifically was written in Fast Tracker 2.08,
yes.
right? By Triton?
Yeah, that's right. Because I didn't have an Amiga myself, so I was always a PC guy. So that's why the only program that I really learned at that age was Fast Tracker.
Gotcha.
So most of the songs we're going to hear today are actually, they're made in Fast Tracker, but I always tried to make them sound as much as like the songs from the original NES sounded like,
And I think you nailed it. I think this game is, mentioned earlier, it's very endearing. It has this kind of childlike happiness to it, and it's just fun to play. It's not a difficult game. It's not a long game. It's just kind of a pick up, play, enjoy, and put away and go on with your day. So
it's a perfect little freeware game in that way.
Exactly.
I think so too. I mean, both. I've heard Johan said this before as well, and I think the same thing. That this game is such a good little package. Like every part of this game was made just good enough. Like not good enough, but it fits perfectly for the little game that it is.
Right.
So I think both me and Johan agree on that. It's one of our best games in that sense, because it became just what we wanted it to be,
right?
And it's just enough. So we're really happy with that production.
Awesome. Well, let's get into another track. There's not a lot of music in this game, and we'll be talking kind of about it more as we get through the episode. But
sure.
This next track here is the in-game loop, and it's the most iconic. It's the one I remember. It's very nostalgic to me, which is funny now. It's 2003 this game came out, but it still has this nostalgic feel to me. I mean, we're in 2020, so it can be nostalgic, right? So this is the in-game loop, composed by Anders Svensson.
That was Once I Was an Egg, the game loop version, composed by Anders Svensson.
Oh yeah, this is adorable. It's so good. I love it. It's got that bubbly happiness that I really just want to smile and kind of skip down the street.
Yeah, no, I was smiling as soon as it came on. I did not grow up with this game, but I love everything that I've been hearing so far about it. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, Anders, tell us a bit about this track.
Yeah. So, I mean, this game, I think Johan just introduced the idea to me, and I started thinking about the music. And I remember this song, I think it was the first song that sort of came to be of the songs in the game. And I remember walking like to the bus. I was just going into town, and a part of this melody just popped into my head. I think it was like the second part, like the that part. Yeah. Sort of popped into my head, and I thought, yeah, that sounds really happy. I'm gonna do something with that. So I think I got that part down, and sort of when that part was finished, it sort of went naturally into the other part. So yeah, that's sort of how that came to be.
Awesome. So when you were writing, I kind of want to dig into this track a little bit more. So you did everything with Fast Tracker. What did you use for creating your instruments, for example? Were you sampling stuff? Were you drawing these by hand? How did that work?
Right. Yeah. So before I got the sample set, I used. I tried a few things. I mean, from my knowledge from the C64 games, that you have these really simple waveforms to work with, and then you can apply filters and stuff to that. Mm-hmm. That was sort of the basic idea. So I really wanted to have these really simple waveforms. So I tried to create like a square wave and a sawtooth wave and a triangle wave and a sine wave. So I had those waves and some noise, to have that to work with as well. Right. But I think I started off just drawing them first, just to see what they sounded like. But after a while, I generated them more realistically, if you will, like more how can you say, perfect, or just so that they're the exact right shapes.
Right, a little bit more refined. Yeah. Now, I noticed that the track has a little bit of a demo scene kind of quality to it. You mentioned growing up with an Amiga and a C64. Is that kind of what you were going for, or?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, the scene has always been super interesting to me. That sparked my interest in programming. I mean, I'm not a huge programmer. I know how to code, but I've never sort of made demos and that. I did music instead. It's hard to say if so the inspiration comes from demos. I think more of the inspiration is from the NES games and the C64 games, I think.
Right. So I guess we should kind of talk about what this game's all about, because the people in podcast land listening haven't seen this yet or might not know it. Game, the story is pretty simple. Alex's girlfriend gets kidnapped, and you need to rescue her before she gets turned into leather shoes. She's an alligator, you're an alligator, and that's kind of the end of that. The game is titled Alex the Alligator. And the spelling is a little bit interesting because I had mentioned earlier it was big in the Allegro community.
Right.
And so the spelling is based on the Allegro library, which is a very convenient kind of tool set for dealing with input, output, graphics, sound. It's kind of like SDL in a way for C and C++.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because when I saw alligator spelled that way, I thought, okay, maybe it's just a typo. It's fine.
Maybe Swedish people don't know how to spell alligator. I don't know.
No, their English is better than ours sometimes.
Yeah. So that was Johan's idea, since he was using the Allegro library.
Right. And what's funny is that all the games before this, Alex 1, 2, and 3, are completely different games. They're not related. They're nothing like this. I think. And I could be wrong here, and maybe you can elaborate on this, but it seemed like Alex the Allegator was just kind of like this idea that he had, and wanted to just kind of continue on iterations on this kind of fictional character that was created just around this library.
Exactly. So Johan has always had this interest in joining a different type coding competitions or like compos. And I think he did the three first games there as what do you call them?
Like indie compos or
demos or not like
or
like coding
challenges or
like his not proposition, what do you call them, like wait, I don't know what the word is.
It's okay. But his purpose for creating them was usually around some kind of exploration around a certain technology or certain kind of limitations that he could play with.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. As I said, these three games before LX4 was he did them without me. I mean, they don't have my sound effects or music. So I mean, I'm not actually sure where the ideas from the earlier games came from.
Right. The first one is a platformer, and it's a little bit strange. It's very simple. Yeah. Second one's a puzzle game.
Yes, it is. And the third one is a racing game.
They're
all very, very primitive. Actually, Alex 4 is the most, I think, advanced of the four games.
But it actually visually is the most underdeveloped in terms of I think what it was going for, the aesthetic, right? Because it's a monochrome, or it's the kind of pea soup color, 4-color Game Boy. Palette, and the resolution is 160 by 120. Yeah. So it's very much a Game Boy game.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it was very deliberate to make it Game Boy-ish,
Right.
But to me, actually, I think still, even though the colors are few, the graphics are really great.
Oh, they're great.
In this game. I mean, I think they're better than the earlier games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it depends on what you mean there, but I know what you mean. It's sort of low
resolution, deliberate low resolution.
Yeah.
The gameplay is pretty standard. It's like just a platformer. You pick up cherries and you can jump on bad guys.
There's a roll attack.
Yeah, and you can eat up the bad guys once you jump on them. Collect stars and stuff. It's very simple. It's like I said, it's simple enough that what my 5-year-old son could play and have fun and enjoy. And so I think that it hit all the marks to make a great Game Boy title, a great NES title even. So that's really cool. And some of the other things that are really interesting about this is the built-in level editor.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah. So
there's one.
Yeah. So I guess you could go in and create your own levels. I never did this, but there was a small community around creating levels for this game. And there was I think SourceForge, there was a page dedicated to people uploading, and then there was another server that had a bunch of levels on there. But really interesting.
I think. Both mine and Johan's attitude to games, we always had this mindset that gameplay is everything, and the more you can, the more you can sort of nourish that idea, the better. So a part of that is giving the community a level editor that makes them create the levels that they want to play, so that gives them a better gameplay, hopefully.
I think that you nailed it there. I think that totally worked out. I wanted to talk about
the sound effects, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the sound effects because
we picked out a few specific ones. You mentioned you grew up with an NES, and we picked out there's the Konami pause sound effect, the Game Boy startup sound.
Let me see if I can find those. I just grabbed those and put those in here.
I mean, there was a lot more.
They more or less stole a few from the classic NES titles.
Let me see. So this is the menu. The menu button. Oh, that one's
that's all of them.
Yeah, that's about all of them right there. It's just going one to the next. But the startup is the Game Boy startup one. This one.
Right.
I think you totally just plugged a Game Boy in and just ripped that sample straight off.
No. They're all made by hand. I can tell you that.
Hey, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. That
is really good. That's really good.
But I mean, a lot of them are deliberately sort of taken or made as a copy of, or as a tribute, really, to the original games, like the pause sound as well.
Right.
Classic Nintendo pause sound.
Yeah, I think that was
it's the Konami pause sound. Yeah,
Konami pause sound. We noticed like some Mario 1-ups in there, and like there's all
there's a lot of great sound effects in there. I think there's about 20 or 30, which the game's like 20 minutes long, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. So when you mentioned, I did the sound effects too. Gene and I were like, we got to bring this up. This is good stuff. Now there is. Go ahead.
It's been so long now, so I haven't really thought about this for a long time, but I recently went back and had a look at the sound effects, and I almost I'm kind of surprised I even made that. I'm thinking back of it now with so much joy, because it's like I think they're really it must have been so fun doing those effects. I look at how they're made, and I'm just I'm amazed that, because you would have
been in your early 20s, I think, about that. So man,
22.
Like long time ago.
Time
but we
flies.
could tell there was a lot of love put in there. Everything just sounds like there was a lot of effort, and I've enjoyed the tracks that I've been listening to, and in fact, I think we're going to play another one. Right after this.
Yeah. So there is kind of a special kind of hidden level in the game.
Yes,
it's called it's a shooter, actually, which is really strange. But the track is called Lola Space Fighter. And could you tell us a little bit about this hidden stage?
Yeah, sure. So we always liked Easter eggs and things that weren't apparent from the start of the game. So there is. I might as well, it's not so hard to find out how you do this, but you need to collect all the stars and all the cherries of all the games and finish all the levels. And then when you do that and you get back to the start menu, you get a little spaceship with F1 on it. So if you press the F1 key, you start a space shooter game, which is sort of a never-ending loop that gets harder and harder. And to me, that would have been a game.
That could have been a game in itself.
Yeah, that could have been a game by itself. And the fact that it's just an Easter egg within this game, I love it.
I wonder how much programming work went into that. To do it, and only a few people could figure it out.
I didn't see that in any of the videos, so I had to rely on Brian to tell me about that. I was wondering where this music came in, because it sounds very different from the rest of the game.
So let's go ahead go ahead.
Yeah, sure. No, I was just thinking. So what happens is that when you're finished with the game, Alex sort of saves Lola, and maybe I shouldn't say this because it's fun playing the game. But anyway, you play as Lola in the space shooter.
Yeah. So this track is called Lola's Space Fighter, and so let's take a listen, and we'll be right back.
was Lola's Space Fighter by Anders Svensson from Alex the Alligator 4.
This one is incredibly fun to listen to, and it has a lot of the same theme from the main menu loop, but it puts like this new spin on it, which would be perfect for a space shooter, and that's exactly what it is.
Yep, yeah. That galloping bass works perfect for that kind of space.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Anders, could you tell us a little bit about this track?
Yeah. It's interesting how these songs, just come to you. I think this particular song, I knew what we were going to do. We were going to do a space shooter. I needed something that would get you into, in that mood of playing a space shooter. So I think the first part I actually did was sort of the last part of the song, which is sort of just these chord with the pumping bass on a monotone sort of it's just one tone. And you have this chords walking across that tone. That sort of built up the feeling or the energy of the song, and I think the tempo also came from that pumping bass in that part, and I think when that was in place, the sort of the melody just came out of that really, and then just built on top of that the rest of the song.
I look at some of your other work and stuff that Free Lunch Design has done, and we've listened to pretty much all of your whole catalog stuff you used to put out. It's strange to me that you didn't consider pursuing this kind of retro sound more, because it is so good. It's really really good, and I think that if you would have kept going with it, we could have seen some really amazing stuff in the indie space now, because back in 2003 indie wasn't a thing.
Not really.
There was like a few companies,
man. I mean, it still gets to me this when we actually did Icy Tower. This was before smartphones. That was before any kind of social media platform.
I know.
And when we put that out, it exploded somehow and got viral. I mean, I don't think even viral was a thing back then.
So viral wasn't even a thing.
So it was weird that sort of exploded. It's really hard. I don't know exactly how everything happened. We had this game on download.com, and that was sort of the main hub for us to distribute our games.
That's so funny, because that's where I found it. I think that's where I found it first.
Yeah.
So I didn't play Icy Tower, but I've played a million clones of it. You essentially have platforms that come up above you and you jump up, and it's sort of an endless kind of game. I mean, it's not endless, but it's many levels.
Pretty much. And it's funny too, going back to Icy Tower, is that when I was looking up some of the YouTube videos of just to listen to the music of Icy Tower, I saw so many comments in there, people saying, "Oh man, this brings me back to my childhood." And I was like, "Wait, really?" Like, I mean, I was in college by then, but I just thought that was so funny. I mean, one of the big songs in there is it's from a movie that was really popular at the time called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" It was called Man of Constant Sorrow. Can we listen to that real quick?
Sure, definitely.
Just a second of that. Oh, that's good. The kazoo and like the beatbox in the back. That's really good.
That's so weird. I mean, that song was never meant to be in the game from the start. It just so happened that I think I saw the film with that song. The song is actually much older than the film.
Right.
I mean, it's a classic somehow. But I saw the film and I just made that recording for some reason. I don't know. And it was just funny, and I was looping it, and I thought this could be something maybe that can be used somewhere. And then when we started working on Icy Tower, I just thought, let's try it, and it got stuck there. Yeah, that's how it ended up.
Because I think it's like the menu music and stuff too. So
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Going back to the demo scene stuff, you did release something in, and maybe I can only find one thing here, but Compusphere 2005, you got second place in a track music compo. There's a track called Gräddkola.
Yeah, that's a Swedish word for wow. What's that in English?
Please tell me it's safe for the podcast.
No, it's a candy. It's like cola, like little, but it's made with like milk, I suppose, or cream. Cream cola.
So
that's it.
What is it? Caramel?
I'm looking at a picture of those. They're like little caramel milk candies. I've had these before.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we listen to a second of that?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a really fun melody.
That's a really fun melody, yeah. It's funny because I do a demo scene music podcast, and this is something we probably would have played on that. It's called Impulse Project. And this is so funny because a lot of demo scene folk actually worked on games or got into the demo scene from games or kind of vice versa. And so I found it's interesting that you entered a compo, but you only did one. I would have expected a lot more.
Yeah, well, you're right. I only did one. That was the only one I did. I mean, as I said, I've always been interested in the demo scene, but somehow I really didn't find my way into finding like a group to be with. So it was actually quite late in my career as a game musician, as I finally entered like a local compo, and it was. I mean, I remember that time I didn't actually bring a computer, so I had to borrow a computer, but I brought my little sound file with the samples in it. So that was the only thing I brought to the compo. So I used that. I borrowed a computer and I sat down for like, I don't know, 3 hours or something, and just made this as quick as I could, because it was really I thought I had like just a couple of hours to finish the song before I had to hand it in.
Well, I mean, within 3 hours, that should show you something. You got second place within just putting something together in 3 hours that you had no prior knowledge of what you were going to do and stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you're competing against the regulars too, who've probably been doing it for years. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly proud of that song, but it's still it was fun making it. It's really simple, but it's happy.
Awesome. Yeah. Speaking of simple, let's jump back over to Alex 4 real quick for our it's like one of our last tracks. It's the boss loop here, and this was composed by Anders Svensson. Like I had a rap over this. Simple but effective. That was the boss loop from Alex 4, composed by Anders Svensson.
I thought that was going to be a lot more upbeat when you first hear that intro, and then it's like kind of a laid-back reggae track.
It's got this little reggae feel to it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Mysterious reggae.
Tell us about this track.
That it's. I would say it's. I don't know how much I have to say about this one really, because it was mainly just we needed background music for the boss fight, and I had to think of making something really like mysterious and dangerous, so keep the tempo up, and also I think the start is very influenced by similar action sequences from music from the earlier NES games. This is a really short loop. It just a couple of tracks that loops. So I don't know.
Well, I think it's interesting. I get it. It's a short loop and it's a long time ago, but it's interesting because we see a lot of like boss music and stuff like that, and it's usually like a lot more upbeat as in comparison to the game loop. It's a lot more frantic, a lot more kind of panic inducing. This is like the opposite. It kind of like goes into this like kind of dark, like reggae beat, versus the kind of peppy up
but it's still pretty down tempo, and I think it fits better for the game, because when I was watching playthroughs of it, it looked like it wasn't asking too much of you. Like, it's not meant to be a really hard game that's no.
I think maybe a part of me thinks that the game music should it should really not take over too much. It shouldn't be like in your face all the time. Everything should be like a weave of game elements that goes together to create the perfect combination of game elements. And I think maybe that's why the game music isn't like too much during the boss fight. It's more meant to give that feeling of danger.
I like it. So we talked about Alex a lot, and how especially over email, you were saying that it was really important to you. But then Gene and I were curious what game or soundtracks that you'd worked on that you were also really proud of. And you mentioned a game called CubeAttack. Could you tell us about this a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. Actually, this was, I think it was a little bit before we sort of went our separate ways, me and Johan. And I was actually myself in contact with that company that Johan went to later, and they were making this game for mobile phones at that time, which was not smartphones. It was
like
before
Windows,
that, so
Windows mobile phones,
flip phones and things like that.
Flip phones with a little bit of a larger screen. It was just when mobile phones started to get color screens.
Right.
So it was during that era, and at that time the best way to play music on your phone was through MIDI files. And I
remember.
I'd been working with the MIDI files for a long time, so it was natural to me to work with that. But I really wanted to capture the chip music feel, from the earlier Nintendo, and
even while using
C64.
General MIDI.
I thought it was pretty convincing. We actually have the two tracks that you sent over, the menu theme of the game. Let's play the menu track first.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
nice disco. Ooh.
All right. Oh, man. That's a great track.
I know. You said the game wasn't released, right?
No, unfortunately not. As far as I know, I should say. I mean, they worked on it, and at that time, a lot of things happened. You know, you worked on titles, and they never got finished. So, as far as I know, it never was released.
So it
but
was.
I know they were happy with music.
Was this also? Well, that's good. It's good. And it's funny because you said you wanted to try to kind of approximate that chip sound, even though this was General MIDI, through some of those early smartphones, or not even smartphones, through some of those early flip phones, you never would have been able to tell anyway. You could have played anything through there, and it would have sounded like
That was a pretty good use of that General MIDI library, though. Yeah. I couldn't tell right away when I was listening to it that it was.
Yeah,
cool.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, one key element, of course, of making chip sound, like chip music, is to get the ARP chords to work well, like the arpeggio chords.
Right.
To flip one channel, between all these notes so fast that it sounds like a chord. So that I really try to do that a lot in these songs as well, because when you track music and you do it with few channels, you need to keep you only have 4 channels or 5 channels to work with, so you need to put as much music as you can into each channel.
Right. Well, I also see this game referred to as GoBots. Is that like a?
Yeah, that's it. That's the name of the game these 2 songs were made for.
We do have another track here that I want to play. It's the in-game music. Do you mind if we play that real quick?
Sure.
That's got that peppy Anders Svensson style.
Yeah.
I can tell you come from a musical family because all of your tracks have really good counterpoint and the voices crossing each other. I've really enjoyed that about everything we've listened to so far.
Right. We have another track here, if you don't mind. Sure. We'll just play his whole catalog.
This is probably our last one, I think.
There's a track from a game called Zombiepox here. The track's called Zombie. Tell us a little bit about Zombiepox. What's this all about?
Sure. Yeah, so this was also one of the games that Johan programmed for a competition, and he wanted music for the in-game sequence. This I know I didn't have much time to do this either, so I know I had to sort of just go into a room, close the door, and just decide I'm gonna have to finish this really quickly. So I sat down and I started thinking about all the creepy things I could think about with zombies.
Milk candies.
No, not candy or disco bass. No. I mean, the game is about collecting brains, more or less. so I don't know. It's just a really weird game. I like the game. It's a very small game. It's not. I mean, it never got very big, but I think I I think the feeling of that game really sort of shows in the music, and I'm personally quite happy with how the song turned out. And yeah, it's supposed to give you this scary feel of zombie madness, I suppose.
Well, let's take a listen and we'll be right back. Zombies from Zombiepox. That was adorable. that was Zombies from Zombiepox,
composed I can see
by
myself
Anders.
Listening to that.
Anders Svensson. This is good. I didn't really get a super scary vibe, other than the beginning. The beginning's a little bit menacing, but then it gets pretty happy. But maybe that's just how you guys do it over in
Sweden.
Yeah, maybe our zombies are a bit softer than yours.
Yeah, a little kinder.
Yeah. Can I have your brain, please?
Oh man. So yeah, we had a lot of fun going through this music. It was fun. Cool. We knew this was going to be a shorter episode. I did want to bring up one thing here that was very interesting to me. Actually, one of the most interesting things about your musical career is a project that you're working on called DEO. And
all right.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about this? It's an acapella group that is somewhat comedy focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe it's fair to say that sort of from my game music career, if you will, I stepped over to the acapella world instead. So that's what I've been focusing on for the last 10 years now. So essentially, we're a group of male choir singers that we met in a male choir. And we got together and started with making sort of a song for a competition, and we won that competition, and then we just continued making songs together. And I think a big part of what we do is essentially what we do is we take often classical pieces of music and we arrange them in male voices, so we can sing them,
right.
And then we write new lyrics for these songs that bring up some kind of contemporary subject. Could be political, could be social, satirical. But everything's in Swedish, unfortunately. So, so it's
do you mind if I just play a little snippet here of one of the songs? Is there any particular one you mind if I play?
No, it's fine.
All right. What about?
I think I could talk a lot about each song, but you just play what you think.
I'm just gonna click on one of these here. The website is deo.se. So here's one here.
Maybe try the Ullared one. It's
I can't spell anything that you're saying.
Oh, it's second to last one.
Oh, second to last. I see.
Pointing at the sky.
Jag hittar in som ett troll. Min ekonomi den lägger som en såll. För vi bankomaten när jag gör en kontroll. Finns på konto dyra spänn. Hur ska jag nu nå min ambition utan pengar? En svårlös ekvation. Hur får man fylla om man är ett fattig jon? Jag har inte löst det än. Ta det lugnt bara, ingen fara. Göran Karlsson säljer billig skit. Vadå? Man köper den, man köper den, man köper den i. Man köper den i, man köper den i. Man köper den i Ullared. Down, 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 scout out, down, 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 scout out, down, 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 scout out, down, 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 scout out.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I mean, I'm watching the video here. You guys at home have to, go to the website and watch some of the videos. They're pretty funny. How did you guys get away with filming these in a grocery store?
We call them. Maybe I should tell you a little bit of background of this store, this Ullared store. It's a very famous shopping mall in Sweden. And people go from all over the country to go there because you can buy really cheap stuff there. Mm-hmm. So, and this song, I don't know if you recognize it. It's actually composed by Weird Al Yankovic.
I didn't pick up on that.
I didn't pick up on that either.
No, so he made a song called Hardware Store.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, so we took that concept with him, talking about all the things you can find in a hardware store, and we made a sort of a comedy version of that into this Swedish Ullared store where you can buy anything for really, super cheap. So that's the story behind it. And we just called them and asked, hey, we want to make a music video about Ullared. Is that okay if we come and film? Yeah, and they said it was okay. So we went there, filmed a whole day, and then when we were finished with the song, we sent them, the link, and we never got a reply. So I don't know. Maybe they were sort of, I don't know. I hope they don't really dislike it, but maybe it was a bit too much.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. I don't speak Swedish, but some of your videos, just watching your guys' expressions and how you guys are moving around, and there's good comedy there, even if you don't speak the language. So it's fun.
Yeah. Musically, that was really good. There was a show here in the U.S. about 10 years ago called The Sing Off. You guys would have gotten really far in the competition if you were on the Swedish equivalent or in the American one, actually.
Right. Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. So how long have you been doing this? You said the last 10 years?
Yeah, this spring we just celebrated, last spring I would say, in 2019, we celebrated 10 years as an acapella group. So we had this mini tour of our sort of 10-year anniversary show. We did in Gothenburg and Stockholm, and we hope to bring that show a little bit further and
bring it to the US?
At least a smaller, maybe not the US.
It's a little bit far.
It's a little bit far, yeah. And everything's in Swedish, so it's really hard to play outside of
your
Sweden.
crowd would be pretty narrow, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you can play in a few other cities in Sweden.
Awesome. Any other projects that you're currently working on, or anything you have lined up, musical, projects wise?
Most of my energy is devoted to DEO at the moment. We do everything ourselves. We do the music. We do, composing. Well, not composing all the time, but we do arranging and recording of the music, and then we plan the videos. We record the videos all on our own, and post production is also done all by us. So there's a lot of work that goes into
very high quality. I can appreciate what you guys are doing, even though I don't speak. I've watched pretty much all of your videos.
The production's really good all around.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's some I think there's some videos that you guys had a bunch of cardboard props that were incredible. Right. I couldn't believe the stop animation stuff. Yeah.
We thought that was going to take 1 day to film. It ended up taking 3 months. So that was crazy. That last video, it took a really long. It's over a year in production, that video. So that's crazy.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Yeah, we spent a little bit too much time making our videos. Yeah.
Awesome. So to wrap up the show here today, we covered Alex the Allegator 4. Composed by Anders Svensson. We talked about some of the other games, CubeAttack, Zombiepox, what is it, GoBots equivalent.
Yeah.
We talked about Lola Space Fighter, the little mini game, and we got to listen to a lot of really great music. And I wish that you and Johan would maybe team up again in the future to do Alex revival project. I think that'd be really awesome.
That would be cool.
Yeah. What can we do to convince you guys? Because I think it would turn out really good, especially now. There's so much going on in the indie space, for Nintendo Switch and PS4, Steam, all of these different platforms. It would be. I think you guys would have a lot of fun, and the people who love the originals would really appreciate you guys maybe thinking about getting back together to do something.
I think when the time I had with Johan creating these games was just so much fun. to me, Johan and I really matched. Sort of our competencies really matched so well, and like the small team we were was perfect for making these games. And then things changed, and life happens, and you sort of go separate ways for different reasons. But we'll see if he ever has the time or the energy or the interest in making indie games again.
I think he does. I think he posted some stuff about Pico 8 the other day on his Twitter thing. I think I saw him post. So I think he's down. I think you need to talk to this guy.
Maybe you have to persuade him.
I'll have to contact you guys. I was thinking maybe I should just call Johan up on this call too, and it would be like a surprise reunion, but I didn't make that work. Anyways, Anders, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about your music. I know we had little hiccups trying to get a time scheduled to get together, but thank you so much. It was so fun to talk to you.
It was so great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it was great. And if you ever want to dip your toes into game music, call us back up and we'll have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Or if we decide to start a podcast about Swedish acapella music, we'll definitely have to call you up.
You'll be the first on our list.
I'll be waiting for that. Great.
All right. If you want more on the show, then check us out online at pixelatedaudio.com for show notes and the track list. We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pixelated Audio.
Yes. And if you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes. That's awesome and means a lot to us. And also, if you want to help support the show, you can go to our Patreon and pledge as little as $1 a month, and that keeps the show moving forward. It pays our server costs, and we appreciate it a lot.
A good deal. Yeah. And if you're new to our podcast, check out some of our past shows. I don't have any offhand right now, but we also got some other stuff coming up in the future that might be related to this one. So.
Well, I have one. We did one with Saori Kobayashi, the composer of Panzer Dragoon Saga, a few episodes ago.
That was an amazing show.
Yeah, and she was very wonderful and fun to talk to. We also did an expansion pack last, which was a lot of fun. It just came out, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we're getting more regular with our episodes, and appreciate you guys for taking a listen and taking the time to give us some reviews and feedback.
The track taking us out of the show is going to be the intermission track from Alex 4, followed by a little tag with the game over. So
thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. And anything about this intermission track you want to tell us, Anders?
Well, it's really just a version of the intro, really, for the game. So it's a little bit longer and a little bit different. But that's it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you back in a few weeks for the next episode.